And just like that, my guy.
Hey, just like that.
We are back again.
Back like we never left.
Back like we never left. Ladies and gentlemen, it's another episode of Who's Fighting, and it's your hostess with the mostest. I don't know, I've not heard that in a while, but I thought I'd use it. But yo, LT, how you doing, my brother?
Woo-wee. Busy, hectic lifestyle, man.
I know. I see you with the Michigan.
Oh yeah, you got to rep this. It's football season, college football kicking off, and got a decent little squad. So.
Right. And you coaching right now.
Yeah,
taking it through coaching. Tell me about that journey. Tell the audience about that journey.
Yeah, man.
So far, it's still new, but like, how's it going so far?
My journey, I started volunteer coaching right out of college, man, and I've been at it for a solid decade and just working my way up the ranks. Started with the little bitty ones, and midway through there, I took a job coaching middle school and was a varsity assistant and did that for a couple of years. Moved to a different school where I started coaching track as well. And, I'm coaching track and football, and I just recently became a head coach. So,
man, congratulations on that big one.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, as he said, right now it's his season right now, so he's a busy man. Even just to get him to sit down. I know we've not recorded like in a week or two, but whenever you see his presence here, just know he's a designated time for our listeners and the show. I'm doing pretty good. Just getting family had a little bit of a stomach bug, and I was like, yo, LT, I don't think you can come in, man. I don't want to expose you because the little one is out here. Kids are like super spreaders, man.
That is very true.
But besides that, man, I'm doing great. Excited. It's a Sunday. We're recording this. And LT.
Strap.
Who's fighting, man?
We pulling up the recap?
Yep.
All right, so we're going to start with the big one. The big one, Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley.
Yeah. Like, I'll start off and say, I think the ride is almost over for that one. Mm-hmm. Although to people, it was a very polarizing matchup. At the end of the fight, I would say this: it was a fight. Mm-hmm. Okay, two different styles. You can see Tyrone, he was standing like an MMA guy. Mm-hmm. He didn't follow up with many combinations. He hit good. He was precise with some of those shots, but he was not hitting, he hits you and then he stops. It's like an MMA person. You hit, you're kind of scared you're going to get him. He didn't have the combination like the pop, 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 pop. He wasn't that active. Mm-hmm. While Jake Paul looked like the active fighter. He was not really hitting Tyrone. Tyrone his hands were up. He was doing the high guard, the low guard. Jake Paul, of course, if you watched him fight, he loves that overhand right. He looks like he's looking down. The Marcos Madonna, it catches you when you're not seeing because it's so it's telegraphed so good. Like if you kind of like slip like you're going down, but you just it's a looping. It's a nice looping overhand. But Tyrone, his team, they studied that, and he was defended. But to me, if it wasn't for points, I think Tyrone won that fight personally.
Yeah, he got the cleaner shots.
Yeah, but the busier fighter to the judges landed a lot more, even though they were not very potent punches. Mm-hmm. But the busier fighter won.
Man, I definitely felt like watching it. I was like, man, is this fixed? I just felt like Woodley could just literally kill him at any moment if one of those punches landed.
I didn't know Jake was that big, bro.
Yeah.
And Woodley was that little.
Yeah.
They stood together in the fight. I was like, whoa, there's a big size advantage there. It didn't translate to a lot.
Is Woodley gonna get the tattoo?
Man, I think for the sake of that's the biggest bag that he has ever made. A tattoo of Jake Paul is awesome or whatever it was supposed to be. I don't know what
he said. Get the tattoo and we'll run it back.
And run it back. He might as well get it to run it back.
He can always cover it up. Huh?
I feel like that fight right there it was lightning in a bottle for it being it broke pay-per-view records. I think it was the second most watched in the last 10 years or so. Like, it's ridiculous what this Nickelodeon's YouTuber Vine Kid is doing in this sport. On the other side, I think he should stay fighting MMA people. Leave boxers alone. Because there was so many weak spots that I saw in his fight game. I respect him for fighting 8 rounds. Anybody that can do 8 rounds of inspiring, like, that is amazing. You know, if you do 12, gosh, you have impeccable cardio. And it was not a lazy 8. It was not a draggy 8. Right. It was a real 8. True. I mean, he had to get out the water sometimes. You could see he was kind of like, he was wobbled a few times. He was on the ropes. I respect him for a kid who really didn't grow up in that type of adversity, like, you know, getting hit and not saying, yo, I'm already paid. Like, he still fought through the daisy when he was dazed. I respect that, but he's not a good boxer. No. I mean, he could box, but he's not a good boxer. I'm hearing talks of 44-year-old Silva wants some of that. I'm hearing other people coming out of the woodwork.
It's funny because you mentioned that on the previous episode.
Fury's brother or cousin.
Yeah, I did see that on
some of that
on the undercards. Yeah.
There's another guy called I think Freezy from the UK wants some of that, and these are like real boxers. And
you might want to stay away from that.
Yes. So your take. I know I kind of hogged that a little bit.
No, I mean, yeah, definitely. He's coming to the end, and I mean, we may be at the climax now, but you got to try again and see just how much you can cash out. There's going to be another one.
I knew he bit more than he could chew after the fight, and he said, I think I'm retired. Right. Like, he realized, yo, this is not for play. This is not for play. Like,
well, I mean, so there's Woodley, and there, you know, there might be bigger names out there.
What's, like, we talked about it last time. Let's go back here. What is his right off to the sunset fight?
We're talking about Paul?
Mm-hmm. Of course. We're not talking about Woodley. I don't think Woodley has a boxing career. I mean, he says he does. He's 39, 40. Like, no.
Good question. I don't know. I haven't thought about that.
Conor McGregor? I'm looking at numbers right now. They both are kind of
just polarizing figures.
Yeah, and then Conor is like on a down slope, but he got numbers.
Yeah, I mean, it could be it. That could be it.
You know, say, hey, you know what? For the NT,
Conor's very little.
Conor is he's maybe 5'8".
Could he?
I didn't know Jake Paul is like 6'1", 6'2". And he walked around as a legit 190 pound.
Catch weight 168.
180. I don't know if he could make 180. I don't know if Jake can make 180. He's too big. He probably walks around like 200 to 215. But at 180, I mean, yeah, catch weight could be done if Floyd Mayweather could fight Logan Paul. Catch weight could be done for the money.
Right.
Because that's a different slogan is, I think, bigger than Jake. But to me, I look at it like that's the money fight, and both of them are more of famous than, you know, they're not boxers, but it's entertainment. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same heel though. Like, both of them are heels, so there'd be a lot of trash talk.
Right. Conor used to be a lovable heel. I liked when he trash talk. I mean, who you talking to? Who you? I'll bounce your little head on the canvas.
Right.
But that's crazy. But yeah, that was that. Another fight that I was so angry that it did happen, and we had done all our promos.
Right.
Was, you know, Uzkitaki versus Benavidez. Unfortunately, someone in the Benavidez camp, I think it's David himself, that, you know, contracted COVID, and that was put aside. I think it's been moved. I don't know the exact date, but I don't think anytime soon. Probably November, because COVID is one of those weird, you know, things like you just don't want to rush into a fight that, you know.
We're looking at 11/13 is the target date.
So November 13th. Another one that was affected by COVID, but they had a nice little sub in there, was Oscar De La Hoya versus Belfort.
Woo.
Shout out to Oscar De La Hoya. Hope you get better soon. He's contracted COVID, and then they found a substitute in Holyfield. One thing I have to say, Holyfield looks amazing at his age.
We're talking about physique.
Physique-wise. Yeah. He does, man, he's just genetically just different. Very old fight. I think he's pushing 60.
Comes from good stock.
I think how old is he? Is he 60 yet? I think Evander must be 60. If Tyson is a mid-50, and he was an older fighter than back then, so he's
58 years old.
Yeah, he's pushing 60. Yeah, and man, he looked really good.
Born in Atmore, Alabama.
Before even we talk about the Holyfield fight, let's talk about the card itself.
Yeah,
stacked.
Yeah.
I wanted to see my man David Haye fight. Not seen him fight in a while. I mean, he won that fight. It was a quick cleanup.
Man,
he's retired and unretired the most in his career, bro.
But let me tell you, the guy he fought was somebody that he was like a sparring partner with him in the past or whatever, and they were friends. And in the presser, he was like, "Look, you know, this right here, you're not ready for this." And he just calm, cool, collected, relaxed, and
right. Actually, I credit David Haye for being the person that introduced me to Deontay Wilder. I remember Deontay Wilder was his sparring partner while he was getting ready to fight Tyson Fury. And then he needed an awkward 6'9" guy. Of course, Deontay's like 6'8", 6'7". And then that's when I learned about Deontay Wilder, because Haye said, there's this kid from Alabama in my camp. He's not really known on the scene. And I heard stories, legend has it that Haye was knocked out by Deontay Wilder in a session. And Haye, of course, did something to Deontay or something happened. But they were sparring partners. But that's why I really hold Haye. He's one of those British fighters to me that weirdly had decent promo in the United States. Even him and Chisora fight, when they fought post I think press conference, when he threw a bottle that hit Chisora or a glass thing that cracked or Chisora, somebody it was crazy, and they said throwing punches. Like it just reminded me of the Tyson days. But hey, salute to Haye. Who else was fighting? Anderson Silva versus Tito Ortiz.
Another one. It's my guy. Spider's my guy. He's a legit boxer.
He's really good. He's for his age. I'm not putting him in cruiserweight wild championship fights, but for his age and what he's doing, I mean, keep doing that.
Right. He can give one of these boxers a run for their money. 168 is a very competitive division, though, so I wouldn't want to put him against nobody at the top. But
yeah, first round knockout. Tito cornered him. A few slips, a duck, overhand. I think it was a right overhand, and then a few uppercuts later. I saw Tito just like turn and then.
You think Tito was just going for broke right there?
I don't even from watching Tito. His stance were kind of not boxer like.
Well, yeah, I mean, to be expected.
Yeah, it's just I don't know if Anderson Silva is such he plays possum so much. He plays like you could corner him and that's what he wants. Something like Ali playing the Robodo, like just, like situations you don't expect boxers to want to be in. Boxers want to move and not be cornered. Right. He invites that. Even in MMA, he did that the whole time. He liked to be on the ground playing, and he kicks you. Remember, he knocked out people with his, some people rushing up on him when he's laying on the ground, and he just kicked them. And I'm like, whoa, he's just his fight intelligence is so high that I think he's a virtuoso. He's a fighter. His fighting mind is so high. Yeah. I think his IQ is just so high.
A combat sports savant.
And he makes it not look violent. That's the funny part. He makes it look cool, fun. Like Roy Jones Jr. never made fighting look violent. It was he's just class.
A super nice guy too. Like this high pitched voice after he's done. Like,
I just trained so hard. Yeah. That happened, and then of course we saw the Holyfield fight with Belfort. To be honest. It's the same thing. I don't like seeing my legends going down like that. Holyfield undoubtedly top 5 for a lot of people in heavyweight champs of all time. it left a bad taste in my mouth. I won't even really talk about it too much.
Yeah, man.
What do you think?
I'll say that Holyfield was used to moving a certain way, and I don't think his body responded in the manner that he expected it to. That's what I seen. Just a different speed. And
is Belfort the first UFC guy to beat a boxer in a boxing game?
That's what I was just thinking.
Or is it Spider that beat Chavez Jr.?
Oh yeah, yeah. We gotta count that one because
that's a young Chavez is younger than him.
Exactly.
Too. Yeah.
Yeah. Sheesh.
Yeah. I mean, I guess he was a quick call up and there's money to be made, and he has a lot of kids too.
Well, man, he said, I guess this is supposed to he's supposed to have a fight for like the last 3 years. It was supposed to be him and Tyson, and then he was like, I just been waiting, and he said, I need to be compensated for my time. So
I don't think he wants the problems with Tyson after what we saw. What he was the way he was training and the fire that he was using while he was sparring and hitting that the body bags. And then we move on to things that we may have not talked about because we were not around. Branson versus Till. Submission. Branson calls out Adesanya. He wants that rematch. I don't know. What's next for Till? Till is, to me, one of the most talented fighters in that division. Caught a few bad breaks, but if you're talking about promoting a fight, Till has an amazing sense of humor. Funny dude. But I guess he's getting to that side of the game where the wins, the losses are adding up.
Yeah.
And I think, I talk about Dana White. He's the first person to notice such stuff, and right. He always gives the fans what they want. So,
man, shout out to Brunson, man.
Brunson, yeah,
very nostalgic, and he's
been doing it for a long time.
I couldn't vote against that guy. Any proof?
Yeah, he was the first fighter. I think maybe not the first fighter. The first fighter I saw that was just blonde hair, like he's just different, man. He does what he does, man. We talked about. Chikadze versus Barbosa. All of us in this panel here chose Barbosa for the win because he's the seasoned veteran. But it was the other way around. Third round knockout. I knew Chikadze. I'm not saying his name probably right, but he has that known kick where he kicks the body, and a lot of people he knocks out people from body kicks. And I thought he was going to be dangerous, but I know he did that in kickboxing. I don't know how that translates in MMA where there's takedowns and stuff like that. But man, he punched the crap out of dude.
Yeah. Looks like that was a right overhand to the temple. He just touched him in the right spot.
Yep. So with that being said, salute to you for, proving us wrong.
Yeah.
So now we are transitioning to the second part of our show where we talk about what's going to be coming here soon. What's the next fights on the calendar? We'll start with the UFC. There are a couple of fights that are lined up, a couple of cards. We'll just choose the ones that may seem a little bit may spark a little bit of interest from us or to us. Anthony Smith versus Ryan Spann. That's on the 18th. Anthony Smith has been around, bro. He's fought Jones. He's fought everyone in the light heavyweight. Good fighter. I remember there's that story where a burglar or somebody broke into his house, but he broke into the wrong person's house, and this dude beat the crap out of him. The police came and dude was like all in a chokehold, like he was like, "Yo, get him off me, yo." That's the thing. Like, and he was in Texas, and they asked him, "What happened?" Like he's like, "Dog, I was just scared that one dude, like in my child's room or whatever, they were walking into my office. I followed him, and then I started just beating his ass." But yeah, that's my story of Anthony Smith. I thought that was funny, but it's not funny, but it could have been bad.
Right.
But the mere fact that he was victorious in that, he's a legend. I think Smith wins it. Smith is still sniffing around in that division, trying to crack that top 10. I don't know too much about Ryan's plan. What do you think?
Man, you got to make note that Smith has a total of 51 MMA matches.
Oh, yeah. He's busy.
51. That's a lot for like a boxer.
Yeah.
Right? MMA, that is a
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
A lot of rolling, a lot of big.
That's about 2 accomplished fighters' careers in one. So
yeah.
We know how these go. Span is, kind of the.
He was a top 5 fighter at one time. I think when he fought Jones, he was a top 10 or top 5. I think he's still sniffing around that ranking. He's consistently in there. I wouldn't call him like a Branson, but he's probably like him.
He's won literally the last 9 out of 10.
When was his last loss?
He lost to Johnny Walker in September of 2020.
Okay.
But he had a 8-fight win streak before that, and then he won his comeback fight after that one against Kurkunov in March this year. So,
yeah. Well, I see Smith pulling that out and probably winning. He's a submission type of guy, not too much knockout in his arena, but I would see a submission somewhere, and I see him winning that easy.
Ooh, easy.
I don't know who the other dude is, so this is uneducated guessing. This is professional, unprofessional.
I feel it.
But I should do my research on the other dude. But
we got 6'4" and Anthony Smith versus 6'5" and Span. Smith's 205. Span is 205, so pretty even.
Light heavyweight.
81.5 reach versus Smith has a shorter reach, 76. So
yeah, that's why I remember him fighting Jones. It was a good fight. Like both of them are big. He's a big dude. He's 6'4", 6'5". Both of them are big. Jones is 6'6", something. He's big. He's a big dude. So there's a whole schedule of UFC fights, but what piqued our interest is the sequel. We're talking about Usman versus Covington, the second, happening in November. What do you think what's going to happen with that? The last one ended with a knockout.
Ooh.
This time, we know Covington is known for the trash talking and all that stuff. What do you think?
So it was TKO punches in the 5th. Interesting. That was 2019. His most recent match was against Tyron Woodley, 2020.
He beat the crap out of Tyron Woodley.
Yeah.
Tyron Woodley was passed around by them two, by the way.
Right.
They both beat the crap out of Woodley. And Gilbert Burns, of course. Those are the 3 people: Usman, Burns, and Colby.
I'm still gonna. I'm taking Usman.
Usman, yeah. I mean, after what he did to Masvidal, we thought, like, bro, Usman had stand-up. He could really box like that. We know him as a wrestler, like grappler, like, a dude that just mauls you and just does the what's his name? Khabib style, like just pressures you, good conditioning, won't let you get on your feet. That's why strikers hated him, because fighting starts on your feet, but Usman will, do that small little stuff that just annoys you, and he'll take you to the deep water. Is like, not like, that same style of that annoying style. But lately, Usman has been putting pounds on people's faces.
Yeah. And he's just fight more relevant fighters of recent. Like the resume is kind of a nod to Usman. I mean, before Woodley, Covington fought Usman. He fought Robbie Lawler.
Yep.
So I mean,
and Covington is a worthy opponent. I just don't think he has enough to deal with what Usman is gonna do.
Yeah.
But people claim Colby is a better wrestler, so or grappler, but we'll see how that happens. I mean, it's a fight sport. Sometimes it's will more than skill. So
Colby is a gold medalist from the 2013 London World Champions.
Yeah, he's elite. He's an elite. He does what Usman does, and he can strike too. So we'll see. I just don't see that happening. I don't see that being ending good for Kobe. Okay, let's go into your favorite sport or incumbent sports. We're talking about boxing. A lot of these we already talked about. Maybe we may even record. Not maybe. We shall record the Caleb Plant versus Canelo special. But a lot of these fights are being moved around because of this COVID happening. It's just crazy. Sometimes like these dates change.
Right.
It's weird when we timestamp and put this stuff out and you know, next thing you know, like, yo, it's not gonna happen. But we already talked about Tyson Fury. We'll do a special on Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder. This happening this October. And then we'll also do here very soon, we'll talk about Joshua versus Usyk. That will be 25th of September. And then our special that we're gonna do after this, Saul versus Plant. Canelo versus Plant, by the way. And that will be happening here soon. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been another great episode of Who's Fighting. What follows this is the special. We'll be talking about fighters in depth, what we think the fighters need to do to pull out, to get the win from that fight, and who our favorite fighters are in that particular fight. As we do most of the time, LT.
Strap.
Who's fighting?
Who's fighting?